I really did not want to make this video. This has taken me forever because I really didn't want to make this. Where do you even start with one Thomas MacDonald's? Well, for starters, he's Canadian, although you'd never fucking know that from hearing his music. He's more patriotic than any American I've ever met in my entire life, and I'm related to some fucking rednecks. He's pretty much made his career catering to one specific crowd, and it's a crowd of predominantly red caps, let's put it that way. He rose to prominence a few years ago with the release of his single White Boy, which is a song where he tries to plead with everyone to just stop being so mean to the white guys. We've been very good lately, just back the frick off, alright? And that song pretty much set the trajectory for the rest of his career, which has been one of the most polarizing and independent and just regular rap history. Before I officially start this video, I have two disclaimers. Number one, it is impossible for me to talk about this guy and not sound like I'm a fucking white savior of some sort. I don't intend to put words into anybody's mouths or speak on the behalf of anyone. These are all just my opinions and they should be taken as such. I'm just a dipshit on the internet. Number two, you saw the title, this is gonna get a little fucking mean. But considering who the subject is, I feel like this is in no way punching down. This man lives and breathes for controversy. So with all that being said, if we can proceed while being adults about this, let's go. Tom MacDonald started off as what one might call a Facebook rapper. Now, what is a Facebook rapper, you might ask? Thank you for asking. I'm glad you're paying attention. A Facebook rapper is a rapper that makes music, usually music videos, specifically for the purpose of uploading it to Facebook. That's so it gets shared around to a bunch of stay-at-home moms and old people's timelines. The topic of the music video is usually something vaguely deep but easily relatable and digestible, like a song about depression or even suicide, song about politics, or what have you. Usually just some sort of topic that Facebook users can easily understand and relate to within like 20 seconds at the start of the video. Tom's earliest work followed this model very closely. We'll start with what I assume is his first solo video. At the very least, it's his first upload that's public. I'm talking about a little ditty called Wannabe, which sounds vaguely depressing, but it's mostly just about how he wants to be a famous rapper and not be broke not rapping or whatever. And that shit ain't super relatable to most people. So, while it gained a little bit of traction on the old Facebook, at least according to some people that I know, it wasn't anything that launched him into superstardom overnight. Also, the hook is trash. His next video, or upload I guess I should say, is a song called House in the Hills, which has him in this like shitty Spirit Halloween old person makeup, and he's watching his younger self smoking big doinks and Amish on a projector. In my opinion, that's definitely a concept designed to grab a Facebook user's attention, but I mean, what do I know? As far as the actual song goes, it's bad, I don't know. It's just more shit about him wanting to be successful or whatever, which makes sense because of what we've seen him do to actually be successful, but we'll get to that in a moment. Wasn't too long after that we started seeing shades of the Thomas we'd grow to love. This song's called Wheels Keep Turning, and it's just about him not being able to fill the void in his soul with grills and blunts or whatever, I don't care. The thing that interests me is the music video that has nothing to do with the subject matter of the song besides vague sadness. It follows Thomas McChicken playing a war veteran of some kind, and he sells this concept to us by wearing a camouflage hat and a t-shirt that says Army on it in giant letters. And it's just him fucking prancing around his apartment wanting to kill himself or whatever. And then at the end, the veteran Thomas kills regular rapper Thomas, and then it ends. I have no idea what he's trying to say or do with this besides get it to circulate on some Facebook pages. And if you think this is tasteless and unsubtle, then boy oh boy, you just wait. I'm gonna skip ahead like 7 uploads, but who gives a shit? I already suffered enough for this video. Roughly a year or so after Wheels Keep Turning, he put out this weird 2-part music video that didn't connect to each other at all narratively. Part 1 is bad, I don't know what else to say, shit sucks. Then part 2 for some reason goes into a music video that consists of Tom doing a concert to roughly 12 people, and all of them getting shot by some fucking terrorist SWAT team. Not to mention, the video opens with a card saying, dedicated to the victims of police brutality and those affected by terrorism around the world. That is such a fucking wide net to cast that it doesn't even mean anything anymore. He's just like, sorry to those who have been murdered, that sucks. Also, I assume it's supposed to be terrorists in the video, because they're all wearing ski masks and hockey pads and shit, but still terrorism gets fucking second billing here. If these are terrorists, then what does this video have to do with police brutality? Also, do you know who the primary victim of police brutality is? Black people. Just saying, it's ironic he's showing sympathy to that issue considering where his career goes shortly after this. That's my best friend. That's my gang. Nova Rockefeller is a rapper, singer, director from Canada, and when Tom MacDonald contacted her in like 2009 or some shit to perform at a concert she was putting on, I guess sparks started to fly. Well, not right away. I think they ended up together like 8 years later or some shit, I don't know. This man refuses to give actual dates to any significant time in his life. I tried in vain to figure out when exactly he moved to America, and he just dodges the question.
So at what point in all this did you end up moving to the U.S.? Because you were initially Canadian, right?
I was back and forth for like 2 or 3 years, and then I started having like all these crazy problems at the border. They were holding me for like 11 hours.
Holding me for 8 hours, holding me for 6 hours. Every time I crossed the border, it was just like a huge fucking headache.
So then I just ended up getting my artist visa and being here on a permanent basis. Because I mean, as a musician,
so far, you can take your music in Canada. There's world-class people there as far as producers.
Anyway, however many years after they met, it really doesn't matter because I really don't care. They started making music together under the name GFBF, which, sweet Jesus, that is terrible. After Nova came into the picture, Tom's production value and his ability to market himself increased tenfold. She directs and handles all of his music videos for him to this day, which is an integral part of his brand at this point, and it's rumored that she even ghostwrites a portion of his shit, which wouldn't surprise me considering her music sounds a lot like his, just less Republican. As soon as Nova came into the picture, Tom got a big boost in stats since she was already significantly more successful at that point, having brushed up with major labels and already having a few pretty successful songs under her belt. One of the first videos Nova shot for Tom's solo music was for a song called Dear Rappers, which would essentially foreshadow the entire rest of his career moving forward. Tom has stated outright that his main rap influences are Eminem and Tupac, and no disrespect to either of those dudes, they have their reputations for a reason, but they're infamous for being the only rappers that white people will willingly enjoy. And it's usually for reasons like, they ain't about the money and the drugs, man, they spit that real shit. But if they actually listen to a Tupac album up close, or listen to an Eminem album closely, they would realize that yeah, they definitely did rap about shit like that. But Thomas carries on with this ridiculous tirade about how rappers are irresponsible and shit, and all they talk about is money and drugs. I've mentioned this before in other videos, but Hopsin was the first dude to really make a song like this on a huge platform, and since then, it's just been an avalanche of these types of fucking songs and rappers. Yet, still, every one of them making a song like this all think they're the first guy to, quote, stand up to the rap game. Listen, Shane Dawson's brother was spitting the gospel long before any of these fucking phonies were.
Your G5 jets, nobody cares. Diamonds on your neck, nobody cares. Zeros in your checks, nobody.
This is real hip-hop. I will mention this though, there's a bar in here that perplexes my ass.
You're living in a country that elected Donald Trump. You're living in a country where police are killing people every day and all you want to talk about is doing drugs.
Basically implying like rappers owe it to Americans to be responsible because people like Donald Trump are in charge or something like that. It's very interesting to me that he'd paint Donald Trump in a negative light at all. We'll circle back to this shit. And it wasn't long after that.
Hey, guy, I'm the Canadian Devil. The Canadian Devil now has complete control of the souls of every Canadian. This is a sad day for Canada and therefore the world.
Thomas McNuggets released his signature song, White Boy, and nobody liked it at all. Well, besides old Republicans and Proud Boys. There's basically too much to unpack here, and it's already been done by smarter people than I, so I'll just keep this mostly brief. I think the stupid part of the song, at least to me, is him just going, look, don't judge me by the color of my skin, bub, and asking specifically black people to not make snap judgments that all white people are racist. But this whole song is him making the snap judgment that all black people think all white people are racist. You could say that he's a fucking walking paradox. But like I said, everything, including that, to say about this song has been driven into the dirt, so I won't elaborate anymore. However, a particular thing about it I don't hear many people talk about is the behind the scenes video that dropped shortly after the music video did. It's basically just Thomas trying to explain to this audience where he's coming from with the song, and to my, and probably his surprise too, they all decided to stay and film anyway. In that video, he explains that White Boy was born out of the backlash from his last two songs, where pretty much everyone was calling him a culture vulture or whatever.
And because the last two songs I released were targeting the content of mumble rap, so like over-sexualization of women, alcohol consumption, Xanax use, overspending, party culture, like that type of thing. And because I targeted that content, I had a lot of people, like my page went from like 1,000 likes to like almost 200,000 likes in the course of like 3 months. So there's hundreds of thousands of comments on these videos, And a small portion of them, but enough for me to like, my phone blows up all day. And I look down at what people are saying on these videos, and a quarter of these hundreds of thousand comments are people saying like, yo, this guy's a fucking racist, he's targeting black rappers, he's a culture vulture, etc., which just comes with the territory. But it's like, we've never targeted black rappers. We didn't target any rappers of a particular color, we targeted rappers of a particular content.
Man sounded like a nervous 8th grader that whole video, but I digress. I'm pretty well far from an expert or an authority on this, but yeah, Thomas McMuffin is a fucking culture vulture. You can't look exactly like a mumble rapper and then scream at the top of your lungs that mumble rap is immoral and terrible. That shit's gonna get you made fun of, especially in the rap community. Also, there is no brotherhood amongst the whites. Nobody's got your back on this shit, bro. We do not look out for one another.
There is no such thing as white guy loyalty, okay? I mean, there is, but those guys are obvious as they hold torches, but the rest of us...
He made himself out to be a guy that enjoys some old-fashioned torch holding, and that's some shit you don't recover from if you're a rapper. But no matter, after this shit, it was off to the fucking races. No pun intended. Tom saw his lane, and he jumped right into it, and only a while later he dropped Everybody Hates Me, which is just more white guy whining. The chorus to this is just some juvenile shit about how people's outrage make him money or whatever. There's this particular clip, though, with Thomas yawning over a bunch of hate comments that I think basically sums up his career. He waltzes into these sensitive communities, sends a bunch of insensitive shit, then goes, "Aw, poor baby, what are you, triggered, little bitch baby? I'm sorry." Basically, from here on in, it's all gimmick raps. One of my favorites is this one called I Wish, which is fucking hilarious. Listen to this intro.
I wish I wasn't fat.
I wish I wasn't gay.
I wish I wasn't black.
I wish that I was brave.
I wish with every candle on the cake that I could quit doing these drugs, but I can't and I'm afraid.
I wish that I was smart.
I wish that I was rich.
I wish it wasn't hard for me to grow up and forgive.
I wish that I could help. I wish I wasn't sick.
I wish I was Tom MacDonald. I'd be just like him.
How fucking pretentious can you possibly get, bro? Then icing on top, the entire rest of this song has nothing to do with that intro at all. It's all about him wishing he could go back to being a kid again or some shit. Literally not a single thing to do with all those random people spitting bars about their weight and shit at the beginning. On one of his songs after that, he tried to switch up his formula a little bit, and instead of dissing mumble rappers, this time he was gonna diss sad rappers, on a song appropriately titled Sad Rappers. On this song, he basically dismisses quote sad rappers as essentially a marketing ploy to prey on teenagers' emotions, because I guess every rapper who makes sad music is doing it for ulterior motives, besides Thomas McDouble, of course. His are real. He's whipping up these bullshit conspiracies about how labels are using these sad raps to sell prescription drugs to kids. Like, bro, last time I checked, fucking Def Jam does not have a stake in Walgreens, alright? And not to mention, Tom is a fucking recovering alcoholic. I think if anyone should understand depression and substance abuse, it would be him, but his fucking need to be contrary to every existing human being turns him into this weird robot that can't see the correlation between his situation and someone else's. Also, this motherfucker went on a podcast telling everybody there's not enough sad rappers.
It's a mental health thing. I don't think that there's enough artists who stand up or artists, professional athletes, actors, people of influence. I don't think there's enough people of influence who stand up and say, I don't feel good.
So which is it, you fucking goofball? Not long after that, another one of his signature white boy anthems dropped called Straight White Male, and it's probably his most clickbait-ass song ever, so I'm not even gonna fucking bother, I'm sorry. However, that did lead into... I'm gonna keep this part brief because I doubt anybody fucking cares anymore. Basically, YouTube rapper Mac Lethal made a tweet or something about how this rapper dude who talks about white people being oppressed is trash, and Tom called him out for it. Mac, very stupidly I admit, tried to walk it back and claim it wasn't about Thomas, but it definitely was. There's no one else who matches that description. Nobody wants to spit on a Tom MacDonald type beat. Anywho, Tom used this as an excuse to get into his first rap beef and get some easy clout off of it, which is something he'd probably deny, but regardless of Mac Lethal's quote status in the game, game, his first outing into actual diss tracks was always going to be a big deal in the eyes of his fan base that he's already built. So, like everything else in Tom's music, this was a business move, I have no doubt about it. And he did mostly okay. He came out swinging for no reason though. Man went at Mac's daughter and his drug abuse issues and all kinds of shit like that. Look, I'm of the opinion that most diss tracks should be no holds barred, but even I was like, Jesus Christ, bro, chill. I mean, I'll get freaky with this shit, but this is just some Twitter beef. Settle the fuck down, Grimace. Mac's response, I think, cut deeper than Tom's first track, but the actual cuts themselves were kind of few and far between. He didn't do any favors for himself in the corny old man department by fucking dressing up as Tom and referring to him only with female pronouns and calling him Tammy McDogfart. That shit is fucking terrible. It's like Bart Simpson jumped in the rap game. Then he capped it off with this weird shit about how the first 3 letters of Tom's last name is Mac's rap name.
Because if you say your last name, you have to say my first name. Bitch, my fucking rap name is in your fucking birth name, Mac!
I don't know why he thought that was a sick burn of any kind, let alone one worth ending the track on, but power to him, he's old, I guess. Tom came back with a song just called Mac Lethal Sucks, because he's a poet amongst men, and it's honestly pretty alright. It's fine. He's legitimately such a smug ass through this whole thing that he actually managed to get a slight chuckle out of me once or twice. Which was nice. Good to know all this Hamburglar music isn't fucking reaping my soul. I will say though, Tom at one point says, "You're dying for attention, that's why you started this beef," or something like that, but bro, you took it to wax first. In the eyes of the court, that is the start line for the beef, not the fucking tweet that catalyzed it. Ultimately, Tom probably takes this by just a hair, just because he had more material in general throughout the exchange. And also, he somehow managed to be less corny than Mac Lethal was in his track. Tom tries to do this rap god flow at the end of his shit, though.
Every room you ever enter, I will always be the elephant. While you try to fit this capital L into development, you daddy little land and I send a letter to heaven that explodes when it opens. I hope it gets your attention.
Yeah, he needs to practice more. That shit is sloppy. Well, diss tracks or not, Tom managed to put out 2 songs that wouldn't be considered insensitive by most groups not named Mac Lethal, so it was time to be a fucking idiot again and drop If I Was Black. Oh, I'm sorry, would you like me to keep going? No, we're looking at this for a while. This is the rest of the video, just this artwork right here. Yep, this is it. This is the whole video moving forward. This whole song, according to Tom himself, is from his own perspective if he was born as a black man. And that was his excuse when people said these topics aren't for someone like him to be covering because he isn't black. Man literally just went, it's about if I was black. God, you're so stupid. Like, no, bro, you're fucking stupid. Not to mention, most of this song completely contradicts all of his thoughts and feelings on songs like White Boy.
There are people in my life that pissed me off 15 fucking years ago.
Right.
And still to this day, I will not fucking talk to them. I will not answer a fucking text message. I will not answer a phone call. I fucking delete them off my friends list because I'm a fucking bitter motherfucker when it comes to shit like that.
Sure.
I take this shit super seriously and I hold grudges, which is unhealthy, but it's just the way I am. And because I know that's the way I am, I'm saying if I was black, that slavery shit would honestly always be on my fucking mind because that's the type of person I am. I could not see past that shit.
So he can sympathize with black people and what their struggles in this country look like, but only if he fucking cosplays as a black dude for a song. Then he gets it, because he can hold a grudge or whatever. If you can fucking sympathize, then why do you act like you can't? Is it because you want to cater to a very white, very racist crowd? Because I think it's because you want to cater to a very white and very racist crowd. I guess the song caused some issues with him, which doesn't surprise me. I guess his distributor called him and told him they won't release the song because it offends them, and he threw this little hissy fit on YouTube because of it. And he still uses that as an excuse to this day as to why he doesn't release his albums digitally at all. Yes, do not adjust your fucking set, you heard me correctly. All of his albums are released on physical copy only, which again he claims it's because he doesn't want to be censored and he doesn't want to give any royalties to other companies that might want to censor him in the future. But like 80% of those albums are all singles that get music videos, and then those singles get uploaded to fucking Spotify and shit anyway, so they're already making money off of literally most of his catalog. It's just another fucking ploy for him to make as much money as humanly possible. If you have a rabid fan base, it's very smart to tell them, look, if you want this new music, only way to get it is to send me $15 directly and then I will give it to you. He's cutting out the middlemen. He's cutting out the bullshit payouts that most distributors give you now. It's just him and the mailman. It honestly wouldn't bother me that much if he didn't try to fake like it's for some noble reason of not wanting to be censored. It's just because he makes more money this way. Which, you know, just own it, bro. Don't be a pussy about it. But the proverbial man is not just trying to censor Thomas McGriddle. Oh no. They're actively trying to kill him.
A lot of fucking people in the comments on clone rappers have said, like, you need to watch out now that you've released this fucking song. You need to watch out. You need to be careful. They're not gonna like this.
So alas, his next video would be a track called Trying to Kill Me, which is about the Illuminati or the government or someone wanting to kill him because he says there's a race war and that rappers are being cloned. I specifically love the use of the word they in his music because he has no fucking idea who they are whenever he brings them up. It's just some vague, spooky presence that wants all of America to hate whites and abort babies. I stole his latest album and listened to it because I'm a masochist, and there's a song on there called Paranoid where he literally states that the government's in vans outside of his house bugging his phones and shit because he raps about the dark fucking truth, man.
It's dangerous to put truth in your songs. They've been tapping my phone. Got a van parked outside of my home. If I keep rapping, they won't leave me alone.
I really don't think some roided out Ben Shapiro and face tats is at the top of their search list, but whatever makes him feel important, I guess.
You are the only one who can see this right now. Halt your investigations immediately unless you'd like to see one of our cloning centers up close and personal.
I'm at the point in the video now where I just rapid fire some shit because I am exhausted with this man's music. White Trash, this song is exactly what it sounds like, and I will never forgive Madchild for becoming old and stupid. Also, Tom straight up shouts out people who voted for Trump.
This is for my white trash, the ones the whole world hates, the ones who voted for Trump that got labeled racist but ain't.
Which is hilarious considering he didn't seem like he was on board with the Trump administration and Dear Rappers and the White Boy shoot, but whatever, I guess. His song Coronavirus about the coronavirus is one of the worst things I've ever heard. I thought Dax's coronavirus song was bad, but this song is like Dax's coronavirus song caught the coronavirus. I'm corny is bad. Oh, here's a fun one. What about the hit Tom MacDonald song Cancer? All about how sad cancer is and how the government is probably holding a tasty cure for it in a vault somewhere. But they just won't share it with us regular people because they want to make money off of it. By the way, I just want to mention, if you happen to be a person that has or has had cancer or someone you love has cancer and this song touched a nerve for you, then I'm glad. I'm not trying to take that away from you. I'm not calling you dumb. I just think this is a shallow and borderline tone-deaf gesture. Especially because it's available on streaming platforms, so he's making money off of it as I speak right now, and there's never a link to donate to any sort of charities in the video or the description or nothing. The whole song is just an easy way for him to get at people's heartstrings and get it shared around Facebook to all the poor bastards who have cancer already and are now being sent a fucking Tom MacDonald song, so it's about to get much worse. But I digress. One of his most recent publicity stunts was buying an NFT from Eminem that was just a beat that he produced, and Birdie the Early Bird decided to make a fucking Stan anthem that the likes of Stan himself couldn't even dream up. Dear Slim is just Thomas beating himself off for like 4 minutes about how much he thinks he's like Eminem and how he's controversial too, just like Eminem was in his prime. Which I don't even know where to begin with a statement like that, but I'll start off by saying this is not a good topic for a song. This type of song is made for one man and one man only, and that is Thomas McFlurry. No one else can relate to this shit, and And isn't that his primary problem with rappers talking about fucking ice and chains and shit all the time? If you want to write about shit that literally only you can relate to, then put it in your fucking dream journal, bro. Don't bother putting that shit on wax. What most don't know is that this isn't even his only Eminem themed song this year. On his mixtape No Guts No Glory, he has a track on there just called Eminem, and it's all about the same shit. How Eminem used to be controversial, and now so is Tom MacDonald, so they're like two peas in a pod, bud. He's also got a fucking Way I Am remix in his catalog that says all the same exact shit as the other two tracks. Eminem was some shit that young people actually thought was cool. Thomas is not in the top 5 of any teenager who's listened to more than 2 rap artists in their whole life. Marshall Mathers, the man, is not. Then his most recent track at the time of recording this anyway is called America. And
Our freedom is the reason you can disrespect our flag. If my stars and stripes offend you, then I'll help you bag your bags.
Jesus Christ. I don't know how fucking long Tom Hortons has been in the country, but I know it ain't that long. However long it is, it's not long enough to start spitting about the country like you want to fucking impregnate the Stars and Stripes. What if I just flew my happy ass down to England and I just went, "Hey brother, let me get a cup of tea, some tea and crumpets, God save the Queen." Motherfuckers would look at me like I got 3 heads. But since his target demographic has the collective IQ of a fucking dip can, he can get away with it. Alright, I'm sorry, that was mean. I am sorry about that one.
There's just something about the spirit of the American people that just resonates with me. Like, it just does. Like, I just feel at home here. So,
well, considering the fact that he shits on half the population in every other track he releases, it must be a very dysfunctional home to him.
Bacteria is life on Mars, but a heartbeat isn't life on Earth? Weird.
Why is it that most of the people who are against abortion are people you wouldn't want to fuck in the first place, huh?
And all the girlies say I'm pretty fly for a white guy.
Someone better like this shit, because I'm suffering for my art this time around. I got a lot of points to cover in this last section here, so I'll try not to meander too much. Out of the 3 YouTube rappers I've covered now, and yes, Thomas is a YouTube rapper, Tom MacDonald is the most obnoxious and probably the least talented. Crypt seems to have little to no self-awareness, but if you're a real cookie-cutter guy that enjoys popping a do now and again, I can see the appeal. Dax is a little harder for me to swallow, pause, because he's literally all gimmicks, but at least he can craft a decent scheme that sounds pleasing to the ear. Until you get to the hook, but that's a different story. Tom, though, without his girlfriend in the mix, I legitimately think he'd be fucking drowning. He relies on this niche community of super right-wing Republican people, and without them, he has basically no fan base. Like 70% of them were ready to turn on him after If I Was Black came out, because they thought he was going left-wing or whatever. That community is all he has. He is all clickbait and no substance. Man ain't got no soul. I think one of the most annoying takes he constantly has is that rappers somehow need to be role models. Always bitching about rappers who talk about drugs or fucking Cardi B getting half naked. This is shit that is ingrained into the DNA of hip-hop. If you don't like that shit, then go fucking listen to Blink-182 or something, cause nobody's gonna change that around cause you can't handle seeing a side boob without frothing at the mouth in anger. Also, a complete contradiction to those opinions, Thomas McCafe says one of his favorite modern artists today is Post Malone.
dude, I'm a huge Post Malone fan. I love Posty. I really mess with Posty, and the baby is just like such good vibes to me, bro. Like, I think he's just great.
That one didn't age quite so well.
Post Malone is literally just everything that he bitches about in these anti-rapper songs, except he's a white guy. Now, I'm not here to point fingers, but it makes you wonder if his reasons for not liking other, quote, mumble rappers aren't completely for the reasons he says they are. Just saying, maybe if you just moved to America and you've already latched onto the most radical closet racist group in the entire fucking country, that might say something about who you truly are as a person. The silliest part about that, though, is that he legitimately thinks he is counterculture. He straight up says on his Eminem song,
I'm the leader of the new age counterculture.
Like, bro, No, you are not. Eminem went out of his way to offend literally everyone. He did not discriminate. Everyone fucking got it back then. But Tom is literally just shitting on the LGBT community and the black community and any other community that are considered too sensitive in the eyes of him and this radical movement he's attached himself to like a fucking leech. Eminem had lines about Columbine like a year after it happened, but here's Tom MacDonald censoring his shit because he says he doesn't want to offend parents and he wants kids to be able to enjoy the music.
Songs like Buttholes and I'm Corny and Everybody Hates Me, and kids really like those songs, and parents send me videos of their kids dancing to them and stuff like that. So I don't want to just be too vulgar on the internet and sort of alienate those kids and their parents and, you know, just make it weird.
MMLP era Eminem would fucking laugh in this guy's face calling himself counterculture. Whether Thomas likes it or not, in the eyes of pretty much everyone, including his fan base, he is a Republican Trump supporter. All of his politics and ideals line up with that demographic, so with that in mind, I guess Republican Trump supporters are the counterculture he's referring to? Well, guess who made almost $2 billion during their term minimum and is still selling out venues and shit for seminars when he ain't even fucking running right now? Yeah, you guessed it, Donald Trump. You cannot be this fucking groundswell underground movement and also be one of the richest fucking political groups in this country. You just can't. That doesn't make sense. Voting a two-party system is not punk rock in the slightest, you fucking dweeb. Again, him and his fans can say up and down he isn't a Republican, but he sure as shit isn't a Democrat, and he just as surely as shit ain't leaning left. He's catering to one of the largest groups in the whole country and then patting himself on the back like he just started a revolution. Shit is fucking silly. And like I said before, he seemed like he at least saw the issues with the Trump administration once upon a time.
You're living in a country that elected Donald Trump.
So it was like pretty eye-opening to come out here, and especially like under Donald Trump's administration and everything that perpetuates.
But after he started getting attention from Trump's biggest fans, he just went, ah, fuck it, he's probably a good guy, and then just ran with the shit.
I mean, Trump got banned off Twitter for quote-unquote inciting violence. I read those tweets. I personally didn't feel like that was the case. I could definitely understand how somebody might purposefully distort the language in those tweets to serve their narrative of crossing community guidelines.
The ones who voted for Trump, they got labeled racist, but ain't.
I legitimately wonder if it bothers Tom MacDonald on any level that the genre he chose to embrace and the genre he loved enough to want to make it himself literally can't fucking stand him. All of his fans are just people who like having their own opinions parroted back to them. I've seen so many fucking comments on his videos of people being like, I'm a 74-year-old rockin' horse and I don't like no boom bap rap hop, but this kid's got chops. Like, for most rappers, I think Dax and Crypt included, honestly, they want some form of respect and appreciation amongst the rest of the rap community. But Tom is fine just screaming into this echo chamber to a bunch of people that already agree with him instead. And he's driven that into the ground so much at this point, he'll never be able to walk it back. So how long can he really sustain a career like this? He spends his whole fucking career bitching about snowflakes and social justice warriors, and then he moves to California. That's like me being like, I fucking hate white people, and then moving out to Iowa. Literally a hotbed for honkies, the type of person that I don't like. I'm gonna be walking around all day just pissed off, and that's exactly what Tom is doing. He does all this whining and moaning and bitching and complaining about all these spineless snowflakes being so offended all the time. But his music is just him crying about how no one's nice to white dudes no more and how the gays run the world or whatever the fuck. He is literally being a goddamn snowflake. The internet ruined this term already and it was hardly funny to begin with, but Tom needs to legitimately go outside and touch some fucking grass. Take like a month where you're not reading tweets and go to the park and shit. Go get coffee. Go to a dog park. The world is literally the same as it's always been, just now we have the internet and everyone can express their opinions, often without consequence. Tom is a shining example of this. There is no use in dedicating your entire rap career to telling a group of people to shut the fuck up, because they're never going to. That's what the internet was made for people to never shut the fuck up. And as far as him being ostracized from the rap community, homie did it to himself. Whether us white boys like it or not, rap belongs to black people. We might be able to connect with it, we might be able to understand it, but we will always be considered guests. And he just needs to fucking sack up and get some thicker skin about it. You're supposed to be this hard-ass rapper guy, but you can't even handle it when people tell you this ain't your culture, which it isn't. I found this clip from an interview he did very interesting. He legitimately believes that all the racial tension in America is just the government or the Illuminati or some shit trying to get everyone to attack each other so they won't look at fucking Area 51 or whatever the new scary thing they're doing is. He thinks that years and years of black discrimination coming to a boil in this country is all some ploy by a higher power to get us to tweet mean shit instead of pay attention to what they are doing.
If I was at the top of the food chain and I was running the world and I needed to keep control of people, it's exactly what I'd do.
Right.
I'd be like, okay, cool. So let's divide people by race, political ideologies, religion. It's just easier that way. It provides you the opportunity to pit people against one another. Instead of everyone's focus being on you, everyone's focus is on each other.
And this next clip that I'm about to show is going to sound irrelevant at first, but bear with me for a minute.
With the 9/11 shit, everybody says it's an inside job and shit. Like, maybe, okay, but go to the 9/11 memorial and look into the eyes of the people that are standing around that lost their fathers and their mothers and their brothers and their sisters. I think it's fine to sit around in your house and talk about it with your friends, but it's a completely different fucking deal when you meet these people in person. Whether it was an inside job or not, it is very fucking real to the people that were affected by those things.
So, he can understand why a 9/11 survivor might be upset at someone for bringing up the notion that their experience was completely artificial and dreamed up by some all-powerful, invisible hand somewhere. But he's also going to say that he legitimately thinks the racial tension here is not due to black Americans being mistreated since they were brought here, but instead due to the Illuminati or whatever. That's how you say you're Canadian without saying you're Canadian. Also, if he thinks the country is being divided by some unseen force, then why is he just adding to that noise and that division instead of trying to put a stop to it? If I'm trying to break up a fight between two people, I don't take one side and start calling the other one a snowflake. That's counterproductive. But regarding his actual political views, it doesn't matter whether or not he thinks it's true. He's got a song called No Response where he pretty much just lays it out for you plain as day.
I ain't gonna keep this a secret. My marketing genius, the algorithm triggered by exploiting your weakness. And y'all can call me clickbait and gimmicks, I call me rich. 1 million monthly listens on Spotify.
He doesn't care who he tramples over, he doesn't care who he caters to, it's about those Spotify plays, it's about those digital pats on the back that boost his ego. He doesn't even actually care about being this fucking weirdo counterculture leader like he says he does. He just wanted to blow up in America.
As a musician, there's only so far you can take your music in Canada. There's world-class people there as far as producers and video directors and composers and writers and artists. There's world-class people in Canada, in Vancouver where I was, and it was a really great place to like hone your craft and get it to like an industry standard, industry standard level, but there's no industry there, pardon me, to present it to. So my whole thing was like, I'm going to move to the US where there's record labels, where there's managers, where there's agents, where there's an industry, where there's a real music industry.
You're obviously super educated, a super insightful guy. Or do you study after, like, when you're not making music? Like, where do you get it from?
I read a lot on the internet. I watch a lot of videos. I research a lot of stuff. Like, not a wide variety of topics, to be completely honest. It's weird, dude. Like, I don't think that I'm especially intelligent or insightful. Like, when I end up on some of these, because I'm making songs like Fake Woke that are politically charged, I tend to end up on a lot of like political podcasts or like the news or something. And I'm listening to these people speak and I'm just like, I am so unqualified to be here having this conversation with these people. Like, it's crazy.
Man straight up admits he's just a fucking internet conspiracy theorist and he doesn't actually know shit about what he's talking about. He's literally just stirring the pot because it makes him money. In a country he's not even from, might I add. Man said in this interview that up-and-coming rappers should rap about their real lives and not make shit up.
Nobody wants to hear you tell somebody else's story. If you work at 7-Eleven, rap about that. If you walk dogs, rap about that. If you fix refrigerators for a living, rap about that. Rap about what you know. People gravitate towards what is authentic and what is genuine. People move towards the truth. So be that, and that one thing will take you further in your career than any manager, record label, PR stunt, marketing, etc.
Well, if that's such sound advice, Thomas, why are you repping a country that you just got to a few years ago? Why is he shouting a bunch of political garbage from the rooftops when he doesn't understand a fucking word that's coming out of his mouth? Dude is a complete hypocrite through and through. And regardless of what Thomas McRib thinks or tells to himself at night, he's fucking hip-hop Alex Jones.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Serious crap.
I can't help but wonder where Nova Rockefeller lands in all this. She was a legitimate artist with legitimate connections before she helped Thomas blow up, and I wonder if she's actually proud to be involved or not. I can only assume she shares the same weirdo political views he does if she's producing 90% of his content, but if she doesn't believe the shit he's spewing, then that's just fucking depressing. She's honestly a talented director, and she could make a genuine career out of directing music videos for different rappers. But instead, she's here trying to come up with new ideas for the 200th political Tom MacDonald song. Fuck. Look, I know he doesn't really want to, but if Tom MacDonald wanted to actually improve and grow as an actual artist, he'd stop sticking his hand in a hat for ideas and just go write some shit that's actually from the heart. I didn't get to mention songs like Hangman or Hang On, which are both decent enough tracks about depression and suicidal thoughts, and that's because they're not buried under an avalanche of white boy angst. Those songs, while still not incredible by any means, actually sound like they came from his heart and not from his dick. I think the most deplorable thing about Tom MacDonald is he legitimately thinks his fans are stupid. I mean, I think his fans are stupid too, but that's irrelevant to my point. He'll straight up tell them one thing in a song and then walk it back in an interview, and nobody's gonna call him out on it because they like being parroted to way too much. I legitimately thought Tom MacDonald was just a fucking troll at one point. The bullshit he spews seemed so outlandish to me that it had to be a parody, but it's not. He is a genuine dude with a victim complex screaming a bunch of buzzwords to people that have no respect for where the genre they're listening to actually came from and what it represents. Tom MacDonald is the final boss of YouTube rappers because he's a Facebook rapper. He doesn't make songs or art, he makes viral videos for the purpose of circulating them around the internet and making him as much money and getting him as much attention as possible. I really don't think Tom MacDonald has a love for rap music. He just loves what he gets out of it, which is a whole bunch of fucking attention. And isn't that all a white boy really wants in this world?
Fuck Lil Wayne, and the government's